the past year, people for some reason have been asking me to make a video on my controller settings, or at least talk about what they are, and I promised when Black Ops 6 dropped I would give you guys that video. So today I finally answer the question, what the hell are my controller settings? Before we go any further, I must preface this for the entire video. I do have an Xbox Battle Beaver. It is a modded controller. It is also overclocked because I play on PC. That is going to factor in heavily to how my controller performs. A quick breakdown on what all of that means. Overclocked means I downloaded a software to manually change the response delay on the controller to make it as minimal as possible. If you are a PC player, maybe even on console now, I don't know, there are tutorials on YouTube on how to download and use the software. I use the one that Nameless posted. Shotzi has a video. There are many others. It's not a secret. You can easily find how to overclock your controllers. But with the Battle Beaver specifically, I have smart triggers. I have no idea if the mic is going to pick that up, but they're basically mouse clicks. There's zero activation. Once the click goes through, the input goes through. That is my triggers. That is my bumpers. That is all my buttons. And then, of course, Battle Beavers have the buttons on the back, which are my movement and crouch buttons and stuff like that. The only reason I mention any of that is because, one, people are probably going to ask, and two, the settings I use are partially, if not heavily, influenced by what the controller itself just does by itself. Now that my disclaimers are out of the way, we can finally just talk about the only reason you guys have clicked on this video, to see my damn settings. So for controller, obviously, we're gonna go to the controller tab, and we're going to have the aiming input device as, guess what? Controller. And then there's nothing fancy for the first options. I have default button layout and stick layout preset because I said I have buttons on the back of my controller. My left button is my crouch, slide, dive, whatever button, and then my right button is my jump and climb button. My sensitivities for horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity are 7/7. I have simplified control preset, low motor strain preset, bumper ping, and swap triggers of bumpers all off. I have controller vibration turned off. It wouldn't matter because I ordered my Battle Beaver without the vibrators in the controller anyway. If you want my opinion, turn vibration off or get a controller without vibrators in it. It's just an extra stimulus you don't really want to have to worry about if you want to play at a semi-high level. And then, let's be honest, this is probably the only reason you guys came to this video, because people blow their loads over what other people's dead zones are, not taking into account that everybody's controller is different, so everybody's dead zones are probably not going to work for everybody else. No one ever seems to think about that though, so here are my dead zones. Right off the bat, you don't really want to mess with the left or right stick maximums. That doesn't really matter. However, the minimums are what you're going to want to change, and for mine, I have 7 and 7 as my minimums for my right and left sticks. Now, a quick summary on what dead zones actually do. The lower the number on the minimums, the less effort you have to put in to make the thumbsticks actually move. In theory, your controller will be more responsive when the number is lower. The caveat to that is if the number is too low, there might be too much influence, which basically means there's going to be stick drift, or the controller's not going to reset the thumbsticks the correct way. So you're going to have to mess around with the dead zones, which you can do in this game. They do give you a dead zone tester, which is cool, to find out what the magic number for you is to where your controller will be the most responsive without giving itself stick drift. For example, I just turned on the tester. You can see that these are my dead zones. Nothing is happening when nothing is being inputted into the thumbsticks. However, I can start moving them, whatever, and every time they pretty much reset. But just for the sake of what I'm trying to show you, if I lower these numbers to 0, then return on the tester, my controller still doesn't have stick drift, but it's worn in enough to the point where it probably won't reset every time. Moving on to the aiming tab, we have the sensitivity multiplier. You can drop down this tab. It'll give you all the multipliers. I don't really mess with any of them except for the actual aiming ones. You can see this is locked, and that is because if you come all the way to the bottom of this one, there's advanced aiming settings. Click on that. Look inversion, leave that alone unless you want to look up to look down and look down to look up, which if that's your prerogative, I don't really care. My ADS sensitivity transition timing is instant. I didn't change this one. My response curve is linear. If you click on show more, I have it set to the highest value here. And then at the bottom, I have custom sensitivity per zoom turned on. Then if you drop down this tab, it gives you a bunch of sensitivities you can mess with. I only mess with the first 3. ADS sense multiplier low zoom. This impacts iron sights. This is why the first option on the first tab was locked, because you can change this. So I play on 7.8 for iron iron sight or red dot weapons. And then I play on 1.35 for sniper scopes. And then aim assist, obviously that's turned on because we suck as controller players. We need the game to aim for us. Now the movement tab for Black Ops 6, I haven't had a lot of time to experiment with what all these settings mean, but I have a pretty firm grasp, I think, on what everything means and how it will translate when I start playing more. So for sprint assist, I have tactical sprint assist as my setting. This is how I got auto tac sprint back, because that setting isn't a setting in this game, but there are other settings that add up to basically equal auto tac sprint, which is where if you move your thumbstick forward, you're automatically tac sprinting. So if you click on the drop down tab, we have sprint assist delay. I set that to 0, so there's no delay. For mantle and crouch assist, those are turned off because I want to have all the control over every movement I do. I don't want the game to automatically move for me because that's going to lead to some goofy stuff that I don't want to happen. My slide dive behavior is tap to slide, which I have the short activation delay turned on. Auto peek door turned off. Automatic airborne mantle off. Sprint restore on. Slide maintains sprint on. I might change those depending on how the game works. Sprint tac sprint behavior is toggle. Auto move forward is off. Grounded mantle is on. This should be off. Tactical sprint activation is single tap sprint. That means whenever you start to run, the first thing the game will do is send you directly to tactical sprint. Plunging underwater is free and sprinting door bash is on. And then I didn't change anything in vehicle behaviors because I don't really care. I don't really play game modes where there are vehicles. And then on to the combat tab, aim down sight behavior, hold. Manual fire behaviors, press. Apparently if you turn on the hold thing, you can have the gun shoot continuously if it's a semi-automatic weapon, assumably not at a high fire rate because that would be kind of stupid. At the bottom you have combat advanced settings. My D-pad up is ping. I didn't change that. I have prioritized reload as the interact reload behavior. I have sprint cancels reload turned on. I think I might turn that off just because in this game omni movement's kind of the point. So we'll go ahead and turn that off. Depleted ammo weapon switch on, and then prioritize finishing move over taking them as a prisoner. But here we are between YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Shout out to the literal hundreds of you that have asked me what my settings are. I don't know why you use my settings over like an actual pro player, but I guess I'm flattered. If you guys sat through the entire video and you're still listening to me yap for whatever reason, I appreciate you. Do me a favor though, real quick, like and comment down below. Drop a subscribe if you're new to the channel, and guess what? I'll talk to you in whatever the next video may be. The pizza.